Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how I edit some images for Displate. Displate is a website where, as you guys know, I have an account for this place where you can just sell these cool poster art type images. And I'm still a student. Once again, I mentioned this multiple times on my other channel. I'm still a student. I'm still learning the platform. But I want to share with you how I kind of help bring some of my images to life for Displate. Now, Displate is relatively competitive as a site. So I really try my best to make my images stand out. And the first thing I do is I try to create, good images. It's not always easy to create good images, but the first thing I do is create the good images. So the first thing you need is your images. But today I'm going to be showing you how to edit the images, not how to create them. So if you want to watch my creation of images video, you can click the link in the description and watch that video. It's in its entirety. So here I have an example of an image. I'm going to go ahead and upscale it within the AI software tool. And I'm going to upscale it with a medium alchemy refiner. And I'm going to go ahead and let that take a second to do its job, create the upscale, and then I'll go ahead and download the product of that upscale so I can actually begin the editing process. Now, something that I just like to do from time to time is compare the original image to the actual upscale and see if there's any critical difference. And I like to look at some of the finer details like the feet, for example, or even the clouds, the air. The reason why I do that is because I just get curious to understand the nature of the upscale. So in my case right here, you can see this is the upscale. It shows almost like the claws of the wolf. In the original, it doesn't really show that much. It might have a little indentation of it, but it doesn't show it as much. So, I get to kind of understand the nature of it. So I'm going to just go ahead and take that image and download it. And I'm going to upload it into my image editor. And I'm going to be using Luminar Neo here for this image. Now, I'll be clear, for 99.9% of the images that I work on, I'm using Luminar Neo for pretty much every single website I use. Doesn't matter if it's Redbubble, TeePublic, doesn't matter if it's my own website, if it's a Shopify store, I'm probably going to use Luminar Neo. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to have to upscale the image. So currently the image is 1,224 pixels by 1840 pixels or 1,840 pixels. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to double it for now just so that we can edit the image with speed. So I can obviously increase the size and I will increase it towards the end. So it's about 8,000 pixels. But for now, 3,600 pixels is where I am okay with being. So I have the image now in its upscaled format. It's time to actually start editing the image. So I have here this develop button, and this is typically the very first change that I'll do, where I'll kind of scroll this way, right? And I'll see what is the effect taking place. And immediately I like what I'm seeing, right? This is a regular smart contrast with nothing on, right? This is the original image, literally. And if I drag this all the way to the right-hand side, you can see kind of there's a critical difference. And once again, I like to point out what these critical differences are. The first thing that I notice is this orange, this yellowish hue, right, from the lightning, almost becomes more intensified. And the dark features on the wolf here also become darker. Now, I don't want the wolf to be too dark, so I'm going to scale back the smart contrast just a bit. And I think this is about where it fits for me and to my liking. In fact, I can actually compare the before and the after and kind of see the difference in color. In fact, if I drag the after to the left-hand side and I just focus on this area, you guys can actually see the difference, right? One is a little bit darker and brighter at the same time. One is a little more almost opaque, if that's the right word. It just looks a little bit more transparent. Like this one looks more, contrast or has more contrast, and this one looks a little bit transparent in a way. So Small difference here, but it could make a critical difference over time. I also want to point your guys' attention to the lightning over here, especially in this area. If you look here, if we go to the before side, right, I can go like this and look at the colors and now look at it after. Very, very small difference, but really the way it's affected is the colors around the lightning, which make it look a little bit brighter. And I hope my screen recorder is able to capture how intense this is. But anyways, now that that's taken care of, I'm going to see if I can play around with some of my highlights because the image is overall pretty dark. So I'm going to move this to the right and see what happens. And notice there are certain parts that get brighter. And typically it's around the wolf right here, because that's what's actually bright on the image. Remember what the highlight's job to do is it will intensify what's already bright and it will make it more highlight, right? It will highlight what's already bright. So I'll move this to the right-hand side to be able to simulate some more brightness to the image, okay? And that's what I'm actually looking for. Now, as for the shadows, what this job of this section or this tool is that will make what already is dark even darker. So I can move this to the left hand side and notice the sections of the clouds that are already dark, they do get darker. And I actually kind of do want that, but I also see that the wolf is getting darker, and once again, I don't want the wolf to be too dark. I want it to really show off some of its intense features here on the fur. So what can I do to fix this? Well, the first thing I could do is I can just click back, right, so that I can finalize my changes. But now when I click on edit, I can click the same button, develop, and instead now I can click masking, which I'm essentially choosing what areas I want to affect. On the wolf here, I can affect his neck. In fact, this is really one of the dark spots that I feel like is a little bit too dark, and the rest of the wolf's body, right? And I'm just covering over it with this masking feature, this brush, very, very slightly here on the feet, right? I might go like this, here, and add some more texture here. And everything that I'm painting over with the red marker is essentially what I'm selecting. Now, if I go over here to adjustments, now I can adjust what I've just masked over. So if I want these things to be a little bit brighter, I might go to my exposure and play with my exposure. Notice, you see what I'm doing here? Look at how I'm dragging the bar to the right-hand side, and the body of the wolf is becoming lighter. Instead of the wolf becoming a black to gray colored wolf, it's now becoming a gray to white colored wolf. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? Notice here the effect on the legs. You can actually see the difference if I kind of zoom in, right? This is what it used to look like, right, at a 0, which is right here. And then if I increase, boom, you could see how it turns white. So pretty interesting, right? Let's say I was satisfied with the way the wolf looked right here, but I wanted to keep this dark. Then I would just go simply back to my masking, and I would click the erase button, and I would just simply erase over the section that I made red over here, just like this. So nothing too complicated, and definitely nothing too difficult to accomplish by any means, right? So I'll just go like that, and then boom, done, created. So I accomplished what I was looking for here. I wanted to make this part a little bit lighter in tone, just to give some more character to the wolf. The next thing that I'll do is I'll test if a vignette works. There's some situations where it just simply doesn't, and there's some situations where it looks great. I'll test it here and, play with the right-hand side and the left-hand side of the vignette. Most of the time, I'll make the canvas darker, but sometimes I don't. It really just depends on the situation. In this situation, I feel like there is a natural vignette already created around it because the dark rocks here from the ground and some dark clouds. So I really think a vignette of 0 is really suitable here. It's not needed. But once again, this is one of the things that I do kind of use when it comes down to editing the image. I also want to point out that when I'm editing this image, there's no mathematical formula. There's no, step-by-step solution or some magic spell that you could kind of create here to create a perfect image every time. There's always things that you can play around and test with that can help you create or craft an amazing image and really put something beautiful together. So one thing that I kind of like to test around here is this section here, this creative section, where I test glow and mystical, because what it does is it creates this almost like a softness but a neon effect to the image, where it makes the colors that, are potentially able to glow, literally makes them shine, but yet the image has this softness about it. So let me go ahead and show you what I mean by that. If I click on glow here and I move this to the right hand side, look at what's happening. Look at what's happening. It's losing the intense details, but the parts about it that have high contrast are literally glowing like neon, right? If you look at this, this is at 0, and then boom, I increase it. It almost looks like a Pokemon card in a way, like one of those holographic Pokemon card types when I increase that glow. Like, look at that. Isn't that crazy, right? It's pretty insane, right? Now, when I increase this glow, what tends to happen now is this becomes a little blurry. And I think you guys can tell, right? Because if we go to the before and after, look at the difference here, especially on like the feet area. On the feet area, you can see in the beginning exactly what the wolf's feet look like. When we move it to the left, which is what it looks like now, it almost looks a little blurry. And that's fine for me. It just depends on what you like and what you prefer. But once again, this is something that I can change about the image. And frankly, in my opinion, it looks pretty cool. Now, let me go ahead and take a look at some other things that I could change. So for example, there's something called Sky AI here. And by the way, this is one of the functions of the tool that comes with the Luminar Neo version, which I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to check it out. And it will include a built-in discount. If you guys have been watching my other channel for a really long time, this is a software that I have been using and I have been mentioning in my videos for over a year now. And I've been using it literally every day. There's not a day goes by where I'm working on my print-on-demand business and I'm not using it, because I do use it every day, whether it be simply upscaling or something a little bit more advanced like editing photos like here. So if you notice here, I clicked on this galaxy button. And what I'm really telling you to do is I'm introducing a galaxy effect to the image. Now you could see here, this is a very intense galaxy effect. It's way too strong for me. I might want it to be a little bit less, I guess you could say controlling. It's almost like the Sky AI effect is controlling the whole entire image. So I can actually play with different settings here. In fact, I could, refine my mask so I can kind of remove it from a global standard, right? I can close gaps here. I can change how the gaps are performed. But more importantly, honestly, I would rather go with the masking feature here. So the way I would do this is, first thing is I would undo what I just did, and I would go over here to masking. And I would say, okay, where can I apply some of these Sky AI effect drawings, right? Because I did that on one of my past tutorials, which was this image, right? And if you notice, you could see some of the stars amongst the moon here, or the sun rather, in this image, which is pretty gnarly. But anyways, if I go back to this original image, I'll go over here and hit edit. And I'll go over here to Sky AI, but I'll click on masking. And I'll go with the brush again. And once again, you guys have seen this brush, so it's not foreign to you at this point. But I'll just go ahead and lightly touch up some areas right here, right? Just very, very slightly. Nothing crazy, just, barely touching it. And then what I'll do is I'll go to adjustments, and now I've picked already, the masking areas. I'm going to go to pick one of these, right? So I'll pick a galaxy, and what it will do is it will apply that feature to those areas that I've masked over. Now, of course, it might not always look great the first time, so you might want to test different types of galaxies, different types of skies, different type of environments. So for example, if I click on this Starry Night galaxy here, I can select different images here. So for example, we have this one, we have this one, we have this one. And, guys, sometimes it doesn't work and sometimes it works. I think for me, in this option, for this type of image, it just simply doesn't work. So I'm going to hit undo, and I'm just going to walk away. It's not that hard. It's not that crazy, right? What I also want to do is I want to focus on a develop again. And notice how, once again, because I've created this neon glow type effect, the image once again has become softer. I wanted to kind of regain some of its peculiarity, if that makes sense. And I can do that by increasing my smart contrast once again, and it will kind of change how certain things are viewed. So if you look here, if I move smart contrast down, what I'm really doing is I'm helping bring back some of the sharper details, but yet keeping the glow. If I increase my smart contrast, it will only make it more of what it already is, which is what I don't want, you know? So this image now is pretty cool, you know, to say the least. Now there's a few other features that I can work on, and you know, for an image like this, I would not use the denoise feature, but I would use the details feature. I want more details in my image. I want to amplify a little bit more details because I feel like the details were washed out once again when I use that glow feature. So because of that, I can go over here and increase some small details, right? Just like this, I can increase some large details, and it does make a difference. In fact, I could show you here just to prove it. This is the body of the wolf, right? Watch me drag the large details to the right, and look how much more detailed it looks. Do you see that? You see the difference there? This is more blurry. This is more detailed. You see the difference? So maybe I want it to like be at like a 15 level. Medium details, once again, makes a different effect as well. So I'll move that to like a 9. And, you know, that's pretty good overall. And, you know, overall, I'm pretty satisfied with an image like this. Once again, I could play around with colors, with toning, with mood. There's a lot of different things that I can do. I can play around with the matte settings here. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. But, you know, at the end of the day, once you're satisfied with a level of work, you can take it. And I prefer that you upscale it at this point in time. And that's just because, you know, if the image is smaller, sometimes it's a little bit easier to handle. And then you just upscale it. So in my case, the image is close to 4,000 pixels now. It's 3680. So I'll just go ahead and click upscale on the 2x. So that will be roughly 8,000 pixels, maybe a little bit more. Or excuse me, a little bit less. And there we go. We have 4,896 pixels by 7,360. And an image like this would work great for a Displate. It would work phenomenally well for a Society 6. It would do really well for a Redbubble as well. And once again, keep in mind that there are certain things that you have to apply to those platforms, the proper tagging, the proper, you know, structure. I think that's pretty obvious. But making sure that those things are taken care of and considered, you know, an image like this, it's good quality, it looks good, it's got all the features that you need. I mean, it's just phenomenal. So editing this image, I can't take any personal credit. I can only give credit to the actual image itself and the tools that allow me to work like this. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video and you've seen the transformation now. And this is just one example of some stuff that you could do with this, all right? I'll talk to you guys later. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Once again, if you want to use this software, I'll leave a link in the description with a discount automatically applied. All you have to do is click the link. The discount will be there. And I'll talk to you guys later, all right? Peace out, bye. Thanks for watching.